welcome to EastEnders Weekly, your one and only weekly podcast all about EastEnders. This week we'll be discussing episodes... Well, actually, I think this week we might as well just do a Love Island podcast. Because that's the only thing everyone's talking about.
No one cares about EastEnders.
We'll do half Love Island and half football.
Maybe they should reformat the show and just call it Love Enders or something like that.
No, never. I am joking. We will not be talking about Love Island or football.
That's a shame.
We'll be talking about episodes from the 11th to the 15th of June. So I am Ben, and I'm once again joined by Alex to talk about EastEnders this week.
Yes, good day to you all.
We're starting off with some bad news.
Yes, we are. On Friday, we had the news that Leslie Grantham had died from a long-term illness in hospital. Now, a lot of you listeners may know him as Dirty Den Watts in the 80s and the early 2000s, the landlord of the Queen Vic and cheating husband to Angie.
Adopted Sharon.
And adopted Sharon. Now, some of his most famous stories was fathering a child with a 16-year-old Michelle Fowler while still married with Angie, discovering that Angie had lied about her terminal cancer and handing her divorce papers on Christmas Day with the famous line, "Happy Christmas, Ange."
How many million viewers was that?
30 million viewers watched that.
Wow.
At the time, that was half the British population.
Yeah.
Being shot with a gun, hid in a bunch of flowers and believed dead, but then returned 14 years later to Sharon's surprise, and yet another line, "Hello, Princess." And his final demise at the hands of Chrissy Watts after she, Zoe Slater and Sam Mitchell confront him about his manipulation of all three of them. So, you know, he was a
legacy character.
A legacy character. He was a very popular character as well with a lot of people, EastEnders. A few tributes came out. Letitia Dean said, "I have very special memories of working with Leslie and will cherish them always." She continued to say, "He never failed to make me laugh, and I'll remember him with love, affection and gratitude forever." See you up there, Leslie. That's if he is up there.
Not if she gets up there.
Well, yeah, she will with the amount of alcohol. She'll be float. Gillian Tailforth said, "I have so many happy memories of working with Leslie. He was always great fun and shared many laughs. Those iconic Christmas episodes were legendary, and they will always be part of EastEnders history." Like I say, he was a part of history. I mean, I don't want to be miserable about the whole situation, but there's been some not so kind statements also released through social media about the actor, basically about his past, but we won't discuss about that.
No, we don't need to.
No, there's no need to talk about that. But we thought we'd share that news nugget because not all of our listeners are in the UK, and I would imagine that would be a very UK-centric story. So just anyone outside the UK who remembers that character, remembers the actor Leslie Grantham, just he died yesterday.
Has Anita Dobson said anything?
I looked for a quote from Anita Dobson. I couldn't find one.
She's not on social media though, is she?
No,
So
it was very difficult to find.
I have to ask her publicist.
At the end of the week's episodes as well, they quickly put a tribute, didn't they, at the end? Put Leslie Grantham R.I.P. as well. That was on the end of Friday's episode as well.
Yeah, big loss. So let's go on to discuss what's happening this week in EastEnders. And I thought we could pick up where we left off last week with Kim, her ongoing troubles.
Oh, let's.
Shall we?
Let us.
So her ongoing troubles of trying to find Vincent or trying to reach a new moment in her life or get over certain events.
Well, reach out and touch someone. I mean, on Monday, the first thing she discovered was that Vincent had cleared out Pearl's trust fund, and she sees this as yet another important clue into the trail of finding Vincent, and so she goes to the police station
to report it. And whilst at the police station, a quite loose-lipped female police officer let out quite a lot of information. I was very impressed also that Kim knew the police lingo as well, IC3 or ICO3. I don't know it. But immediately Kim was like, "Oh yeah, that's my husband. That's the description of my husband." Because she was using the police terms, and other than me to maybe she googled it. On maybe
her phone.
Vincent taught it to Kim as like
just in case
a drinking game one night when they were dating,
playing caps, throw the caps into a shot glass.
So the policewoman basically said, "Oh, we've got an unidentified body which matches the description."
Yes, the same
Vincent.
height, the same description, and the same scar in the same place, which is hugely coincidental. But obviously, Kim's quite taken aback by this information, goes home, tells Denise, tells Patrick, and they almost reassure Kim to just let the police do their job, let them take their time to identify the body. There's no need for you to go to the hospital to identify it. But Kim's adamant, no, I want to go to the hospital, I want to identify it, I want to see my husband.
Well, she might as well. I don't know why they were trying to convince her not to.
Well, because it's... I mean, I wouldn't particularly be too keen, especially if it been killed in a malicious, nasty way.
Yeah, but someone's got to identify it.
Well, no, because they could identify it through fingerprints or DNA.
Oh.
So there might be something in the database.
No, Kim's got to do it.
But no, Kim's got to do what Kim's got to do, and Kim's adamant.
She won't believe it till she sees it.
That's quite right.
So she goes to the morgue to identify the body.
It's at the hospital.
Oh, is it the hospital?
Yeah, he's not at the morgue yet.
Oh, yeah.
Although they might have a dead section. That's a really bad thing to say.
What, in the police station?
No, at the hospital.
Oh. I don't know.
Why do you have some kind of hate
anyway,
for hospitals?
She goes to identify the body. Oh, she's in hospital because then she collapses.
Yes.
So, she goes to identify the body. And she comes out not really telling Patrick and Denise if it is Vincent or not. She's a bit to keep us on edge watching. She doesn't quite say for a few seconds, so she starts crying.
Well, yeah, she walks into the room and they take the sheet off the body. Obviously, we don't see it either. And yeah, she leaves the hospital room and doesn't say anything, and it cuts to another scene. So yeah, you're left wondering: is it Vincent?
Denise says, "Oh, did he look peaceful? Did he look peaceful at least?" But no, she says, "No, it wasn't him."
No, it wasn't him. Patrick also reminisces over when he had to ID his son Paul. Which I thought was nice as well. To a nice little throwback to the past.
Yeah.
So upon Kim not identifying the body because it wasn't Vincent after all, so my theory still stands that he's alive. She is quite overwhelmed by the whole occasion.
All the blood sugar levels are low.
It rushes from her head, and she kind of storms out saying, "Right, this is it. I've got more steam in my engine. I'm going to now look for my husband. I'm finding Vincent once and for all." And as she goes storming off, she falls and faints to the floor. Kind of nicking her plan there. And Denise shouts in the most wonderful way, in a hospital, it's a good place to faint, really. It's a good place to...
She's all right. Yeah, she's okay. She's there the next day.
Yeah.
She's in a hospital gown.
She's having a bit of a walk around. Denise is like, "Why are you walking around? You're meant to be resting."
Trying to make her eat like egg sandwiches.
Well,
disgusting.
Yes, Kim is anemic from the pregnancy. So she needs more iron in her body. And where do you get iron? An egg roll. Oh. So, yeah. At first,
the second she said it, I could smell it.
Well, when she said...
through the TV.
When she said egg roll, I originally thought she meant like the Chinese takeaway egg roll.
Oh.
But no, yes, later
it's
on...
like a boiled egg and a sandwich.
Boiled egg mayonnaise sandwich.
Yep.
Egg mayonnaise.
Oh, it stinks. I can smell it now in my mind. So yeah, she has like a baby scan as well, like an early one, just to check everything's okay.
Yes, just to check that, because again, the hospital's worried because she has a past of miscarrying. Her Pearl, she was fine, but then when she was pregnant the second time, she had miscarried. When she's having the scan done, Denise is there holding her hand, but she whispers to Denise she wished that Vincent
should be
there.
here.
Yeah, he should be here. She also speaks to the baby on the monitor and says, "He'll be here soon. he'll see you."
If it's a boy, do you think they're going to call him Vincent? Vincent Jr.?
Oh, I hope so. I've never really thought about it.
One way to bring back Vincent. And in 10 years, there'll be Vincent Jr. and Abby Jr.
Oh, do you reckon they get together?
Yeah.
Their children would be beautiful. Vincent and Abby. Be lovely.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we also have D.I. back again, the puppet, coming back to come to talk to Denise and Kim to sort of say, don't report things.
Yes.
In a roundabout way.
Yes. I mean, Kim and Denise basically decide to double their efforts now and to find Vincent. Kim had a really great line, actually, which we were all thinking, which is that she says, don't you have work to do? Don't you have to go to work, Denise? And Denise is like, oh, no, I'll help you. And Kim looks up and says, no, yeah. And Kim looks up and says, no wonder the council can't do anything. And it's like, yeah, they don't get anything.
That's all Kamel did when she had that job.
Wait, she used to walk around the market with her thermos. And
now Denise is doing it.
But Denise is doing something different. She's actually being helpful. Kamel, we should just think about herself and her head massages. We got to see Kamel later as well, didn't we?
Yeah. We did.
I'm just saying. Well, we've been flooded by Kamel the last 2-3 weeks. It was strange not to see her.
She's now got a bit more makeup on and blow dried her hair, so she's
had a wash.
She's nearly there.
Finally.
So Phil, like that DI guy, comes in and says, leave it to me, don't interfere. Sort of. Yeah,
leave it to the police to do
Phil's
their work.
watching. Phil sees him go in.
Well, after 2 and 8 with Sharon, which we'll discuss a bit later, he leaves the house and he sees the Allsworth leaving the house and getting into the car, and he kind of watches the car go by, and he then decides to visit Kim and Denise, and basically all out says you shouldn't trust the guy. He's a liar,
but doesn't say why.
But this is where
I wouldn't trust Phil.
No, I wouldn't trust Phil anymore. Exactly. I mean, Denise and Kim kind of call him out at this point, saying that we found the passport. So
they
you've
think
been lying.
He knows something.
Yeah, you clearly know information that you're not sharing with us. And all Phil kept saying was just don't trust him. Just trust him. He ain't what he sees. He ain't what he sees.
Yeah, and Denise follows him back to his house, doesn't she, and has a private word with him as well.
Well, Kim then drops to Phil that she's pregnant, and Phil, I think, the face basically said instant regret at that point. He knew that
he's feeling very guilty over this, isn't
his guilt kicked in, yes. And so then Denise confronts Phil, and he then again leaks a little bit more information to Denise. Almost
telling the truth now.
He's almost telling the truth, but not quite.
Just not implicating himself still.
Yes. He says that he spoke to Vincent. Now, we don't know for certain that's not true, but that doesn't seem likely.
He can't speak to Vincent because Vincent's dead.
Well, no, he's not.
You think D.I. Allsworth is going to let him go?
D.I. Allsworth.
What's he done with him?
D.I. Allsworth is just a cog in the chain that is the whole East End mob.
Well, if Aidan still has him kidnapped or whatever he's done with him and has not killed him, now that Kim's reported him missing, they're going to have to kill him.
I mean, Phil insists that Aidan has nothing to do with this. He
that's
said
because it links back to Phil, that's why.
I know, but he said that Phil has been involved with some, before he left or got kidnapped, he's been involved with some very dodgy people. I mean, these dodgy people could be linked to Aidan, but not necessarily Aidan himself. So, there's a lot of strings to a lot of people's
ifs and buts.
Ifs and buts, candies and snot. I don't know what the words are. But so he does let Denise know that Vincent isn't dead.
But he also says he's not coming back.
Yes, but he ain't seen the baby, is the word that Phil uses. He ain't seen the baby.
Yeah. So Denise sort of comes to talk to Kim and says this: you need to sort of move on now.
Yeah.
He's not coming back and you need to...
Because Phil's as good as said that Aylesworth is a very dangerous person and it's someone who you don't want to mess with, and just let him give the impression that they're doing some work and helping you when in actual fact they're not doing anything at all. Just forget about Vincent, focus more on the baby now, is Denise's words. But at the end, Kim was looking at the profile that she was filling in for the missing person for Vincent, and you just knew that because she's still looking at it, she's not going to give up. She's still thinking about it.
She almost sent it, but then just closed it.
Delete it. But didn't delete it. I mean, one of the things that she had written in one of the boxes for description, which made me laugh, was she put, "What's happened? We can work it out. Come home for Pearl." And it's like, would you put that on?
And she also put how Kim talks. She goes, "We can sort it out, yeah." She actually wrote, "Yeah."
Yeah, she wrote as she speaks. Yeah, I know. I did like that.
Yeah.
But we learned a month or so ago that Kim isn't the best in English literature.
No, well, she's good at script writing because she writes as the character would speak. So.
Well, yes, maybe she writes her own scripts for the soap.
She does write a lot of her own jokes.
Oh, does she? Oh dear, that doesn't bode well.
Kim's funny.
It's the way they're put across is quite
Kim
funny.
Tamika wrote her own spin-off show on BBC Three. Kim's B&B. She wrote it all herself.
Was that aired?
It was on BBC Three. It was like an online EastEnders show where Kim ran the B&B. She wrote it all herself. So
I knew this. This is new information.
Yeah.
I'm going to search that later.
So Kim has taken Denise's advice to try and move on. She's acting happy and stuff with Pearl and playing. And...
Yeah, they're playing nail salon. Denise has gone off with Carmel to print more flyers.
Because that's what you need.
Because there weren't enough to begin with. And she asks Pearl what colour nails she wants. She's also revealed at this point that to Pearl that she's pregnant, so Pearl's going to have a brother or sister. Yeah. So it's a kind of way to introduce her to the idea that she's going to have a brother and sister.
She asked her to pick a pink nail polish, or a blue,
and
she picks pink. So does she want a sister?
Is that a hint,
or does she just like pink nails?
Is that just a little Easter egg by the writing staff of EastEnders to say what the baby's going to be? Maybe it can't be. What's female for Vincent? Vincella? Vincella? Sounds
Victoria.
A bit Victoria. There you go. So it might be a Victoria rather than a Vincent. While she's playing her,
might name it after Vincent's mum, Claudette. Claudette Jr.
Claudette the second. I doubt that very much. I think there's no love lost between Claudette and. Do you reckon Claudette would come back for the pregnancy? Just because it's her grandchild.
Think she can come back now.
Aww.
Especially with Donna leaving, that's all the ties gone. And Vincent's dead, of course.
We don't know that. While she's playing her little game of nail salon, she's getting constant phone calls from a private number, which she's too afraid to answer.
She does answer it eventually after.
She does answer it eventually. And
is it Vincent?
Well, you're led to believe it might be Vincent, or a clue of when Vincent would be. But no, it's just an accident claim line asking if she'd like to claim any money back from.
Was that from the accident that she had when she when Dot drove into her? Do you think?
Oh, maybe.
It's an actual claim, Kim.
Sue.
Come on.
If there's blame, there's a claim, Kim. Sue Dot. Get her out of the square. She have to sell off the house.
So at the end of the week, she was well on her way to being old Kim again. She was cooking a meal.
Yes. Well, Patrick, again, gives her a bit of a pep talk and says that she's nothing to be scared of. Her act of confidence that she always puts on, she puffs up her feathers. That's the way she needs to be. And that her family aren't going anywhere.
No, he's going to be there for her.
He's going to be there forever.
It's nice to see Patrick getting a bit of acting.
Yeah, it is totally. But it's before he got. It sounds really awful saying this. It's before he got his award, because they film obviously a few weeks in advance. So I think it. I have to say the storyline, the relationship between Kim, Denise, and Patrick is actually a really sincere one, and it's nice to see Patrick doing something other than playing chess in a shed with Ted or walking around the pub taking money out of his hat. It's nice, and they work well together. So Kim, as you say, is making a timpania.
She was doing lots of different accents.
Which she was putting on. Eventually, I worked out that I think it was meant to be an Italian-American accent.
I thought it was French. One of them was French. I don't know. Who knows? She did about 3 or 4 different ones.
She liked play acting this week. She did her she did her French accent when she was doing the nails, and then her nail salon, and then she put on her Italian-American accent. I had a quick look at the table while she was knocking up a timpania. She had tomato puree, onions, a cucumber,
pasta.
Pasta's
back in the house.
That haunted Denise.
Yeah, Denise had to leave.
She had to leave. She made her excuses and left.
Yeah, so she went out with Carmel because Kim was going to make a little dinner lunch for them.
Yes, as a thank you for being such good friends. And while she's cooking, she pops it in the oven. She uses the excuse that she needs to buy chocolate for the baby. Not for her, it's for the baby. It's like, all right.
Cravings.
I know what you want. You want
she
chocolate.
grabs her coat or wherever it was and went. Left her keys on the table.
I mean, who does that? No one, that's it. But also the other fact is that most people seem to just walk into the houses in EastEnders anyway.
I know, the one time it's locked.
Typical. So she realises she's locked herself out, and stewing about what to do, she kind of opens up the letterbox. No, can't get in through there. Kind of looks around the window, see if anyone's about. Is Pearl in the house, incidentally, at this point? Or is Pearl gone to playgroup? I think Pearl was at playgroup.
She's with Ingrid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we can't use that excuse anymore.
No, Ingrid's gone.
She's with Sonia.
Yeah, she's with Sonia. So with Sonia, Shirley noticed that there's a window on the first floor, on the next floor up, open that she could get into. But unfortunately, Kim decides that she's going to tell Shirley to.
Yeah, well, because Kim asked her rudely, Shirley didn't like that. Even though the only thing Shirley does is talk to people rudely. So. Bit hypocritical, but so yeah, she said I could have a ladder and help you, but I'm not going to.
Nope. Not going to bother.
So she eventually gets the help from Donna and lovely Robbie. Robbie's in shorts.
Wearing shorts, so lots of jokes from Donna about his calves and his legs being out in the open.
Saying how strong he is, and then the opportunity comes to prove how strong he is.
Yes.
By going up a ladder.
So another one of those scenes where a crowd of people seem to just gather to watch something happening. Robbie's already said that he's not too keen on heights, but they're like, no, come on, Robbie, man up, as Sonia would say. Go up the ladder. And he gets to the top of the ladder, and the window's stiff, so he can't get in. In the meantime, Robbie is up the ladder. Mo arrives and not very happy, and tells Donna off. I can't remember what she tells Donna off for now. I know, it's because Woody's stood her up.
Yes.
Upset again. Something we'll discuss a little bit later.
And this brings back the memory that Mo made a prediction back on Mystic Meg Night at the Vic.
Yes.
About Robbie being about to die.
And this is all far too overwhelming for Robbie. So Robbie throws up at the top of the ladder onto Kim's shoes. And so suffice to say that dinner was burnt.
It was.
And Kamal and Denise couldn't eat it.
They tried.
They had a bite.
They did try, but they ordered Chinese in the end.
Well, they did. They ordered Chinese and opened up a bottle of red wine.
Which made me really want Chinese today.
I know, we were talking about that just now.
And then earlier in the week when Masood was at the fish and chip show, I really wanted fish and chips. So it's becoming quite a problem.
You're easily led by advertising.
Yeah. Of EastEnders.
Carmel thanks them whilst they're drinking over a glass.
Feeling a bit low still.
Still a bit low, but, feeling happier. And then Denise reveals by accident, because Kim's not drinking, oh, come on, you need to eat a bit more of this Chinese food, this healthy Chinese food.
She says you should be the one eating for two, not me.
Yeah.
Because Denise was scoffling it all in.
Denise, she's got
just looking at the pasta made her feel really hungry, probably.
Denise has
muscle memory and all that.
Yeah, she has flashbacks. She's like when you visit your nan, like they remember the days of rationing. Denise remembers the days of when she couldn't,
that summer.
That summer.
Summer 2017.
And Kamal seemed really happy with that, and Kamal was like,
just what she needed.
A bit of brightening up for the day. So nice. So that's
nice.
A kind of line drawn underneath Kim and Denise's for the week. But obviously, I think the continued search for Vincent will carry on. And Phil's probably going to get in the mix with a bit of Allsworth, DCI Allsworth also getting
more
involved.
Lies.
Yeah, more secrets and lies for them.
So shall we go on to talk about the big conclusion of who stole the money?
Yes,
wow.
Well...
Oh, wait, actually, what I want to do first is just have a little chat about what people are saying about Kim's storylines this week.
Oh, yes.
We're back on Twitter.
We're on Twitter.
We are.
Tweet.
So we've got, did Kim just say she was 42? I thought Miss Hubbard was much younger. Shocked face.
No, yes. She's great for it.
Patrick's scene with Kim is why Rudolph won Lifetime Achievement. He's become a grandfather figure for the entire square.
Well, that's what I said. He's become. Yes, he doesn't get the meaty storylines that often anymore, but he's become an intricate part of the show.
Yeah, Tamika has been so good in EastEnders recently. My heart breaks for Kim. It's such a shame Vincent isn't around anymore.
Hear.
I hope Richard Blackwood comes back one day.
And he will.
Love Kim and Patrick's relationship. It's so sweet and adorable.
Oh, lovely.
So, yeah, just a few things about that. So it's nice. People are happy to see Patrick back.
Mostly positive, it seems.
So we're now talking about the big conclusion of E20's 15K.
Yeah.
The big whodunit for the past 2 weeks.
Yes.
We've gone from suspecting Keanu, Keegan, Hunter, Louise, Bex. Tiffany's not been in it. So. Mel
back and forth
Sharon,
a couple of times.
Sharon, stealing again.
Yeah. Well, no, Phil did accuse Sharon. Remember? Sharon was accused.
Phil when he gave that money to Kim from the safe?
Yeah.
Well, we now know who it is.
We do.
All thanks to Big Mo. So should we start at the beginning of the week when we were blinded? We had no idea who it was.
No, we were still
on Team Hunter, weren't we? Blame Hunter.
We all pretty much thought it was Hunter. It was a done deal with Hunter, and they were just the soap was just going to stretch it out. Mel got a text from Sharon saying, "With money." My money.
I need it now.
I need my money.
So she's still, at this point, Mel's still upset with Jack because he hit Hunter.
Yes. Well, Hunter said that he'd been hit by Jack. So when Jack kind of, on the advice of Max, to just leave out. They're a funny old family.
Yeah.
Jack still wants to, talk to her about it. As he approaches the door after Hunter gives Mel a goodbye kiss, she kind of closes the door on him. I mean, Mel's life is just falling apart around her, isn't it?
It is. She's under high pressure to get this money back.
And also
comes with the job as a manager of a bar. This does.
Yes, a bar.
If it's ever broken into, this is under your watch.
The club that always sounds busy but never looks busy.
So Sharon's sending Mel text saying she wants it by tomorrow. Now,
yes,
I've had enough.
Give me my money.
Phil's gone soft.
Well, Phil's frustrated that Sharon is making the debt about her. And wants to deal with it on his own, but no, Sharon. I mean, the friendship between Sharon and Mel.
I know,
it's like a roller
all over
coaster.
the place.
I know, because they were BFFs.
There was a
at one
low
point,
with the cream being spilled over her,
which is fair enough.
and then the next day they were quite good friends again.
Yeah. Then
And
Sharon's
then-
getting Woody to get her drinks for her and Mel whilst they're sat
Yeah,
at the
they were
bar.
sat drinking cocktails
Yeah.
together at a party.
They enjoyed the coronation and the World Cup together in the Queen Vic.
Yeah. And now they hate each other.
And now they hate each other all because of money. Money, see? Money tears relationships apart.
Bizarre.
Jack is not happy that Mel's decided that she's going to up sticks and leave, and visits and insists that he hasn't touched Hunter. Tells Mel to speak maybe to Louise about it.
Yeah. His ex.
Hunter's ex, not
Jack's
Jack's ex.
ex. Not yet. It is a blonde Mitchell, so give it 5 years.
Give it time.
So we then get a scene with Mel having a little chat with Louise about Hunter because she knows her son. She knows he would never do this.
Yeah, this isn't Hunter.
No,
He'd never lie, manipulate, and cheat. Never, not once.
So Louise tells Auntie Mel.
Yes, I forgot that they were.
I know, I forgot as well that they were meant to have lived together for years.
So that means they're cousins. Hunter and Louise are cousins.
No, they're not actual auntie. She just calls her Auntie Mel because her and Lisa are best friends.
Oh, okay.
And they used to her and Hunter lived together in Spain, was it? For 10 years.
Spain.
Her and Lisa and Mel and Hunter all lived together, didn't they?
Oh, okay. So it's just an affectionate auntie, not blood.
Not a real auntie.
Not blood.
Although everyone's related to
I was going to say, I'm sure you'll find some way.
Yeah.
They need to do those DNA tests when they spit in a pot. Louise says that Hunter plays games with your head about the text. Louise tells Mel all about the text.
Mm-hmm.
And at first she doesn't believe what Louise is saying, but as they continue talking and Mel saying, why did you break up? And she said because he plays mind games. Hunter's
He's not right in the head.
He's not right in the head. You don't know what he's capable of.
And they're walking in the street and they look over and Hunter's sitting on a wall throwing rocks at the.
He's throwing stone. No, he's throwing stones at a can.
Yeah, and Louise is like, see, he's not right. He's not right in the head.
Yeah. Look at him. He's nuts. He's mental.
So, okay.
I must admit,
odd.
I'm surprised the kid who has the most expensive phone on the square isn't just sat there Snapchatting and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So Mel then goes to talk to Hunter.
Yeah, and she calls him out on his bruises. But he insists that the missing money has got nothing to do with him. Although Hunter's not very happy that Louise has been talking to Mel, and so then goes to Sharon and Phil's house.
He's really rude to Sharon, isn't he?
Yeah, to basically be rude at Louise, and then when Sharon tells him to get out, he's then really rude to Sharon. And then Sharon then says, right, you need to tell me exactly what you told Mel. And so then...
the scene.
This is when it begins.
All the characters are there.
Yes. But as this is happening, though, Mel is talking to Phil, because Mel goes into the Arches, where Phil likes to just sit on the desk
she
and
throws a few threats, doesn't
watch
she?
the world go by. Yeah, and he basically says, right, okay, you can pay it back with no interest, but you have to do it over 2 years. And we're starting from scratch right now. I don't care about the interest, but you have to pay it back in 2 years. And she does threaten him. She says about the kiss. And he's like... But there's a really interesting line, and it was clearly dubbed in. It was someone's deleted the footage. So I'm guessing that, there's no evidence now. So really
she said, are you sure about that? Because she's made copies.
Yeah. But
hopefully Big Mo hasn't got a copy.
But no, quite right. She'll use that against you as her mystic skills. But
so,
Sharon's not happy with this.
No, she's arranged a meeting.
So yeah, she arranges her own meeting
with Billy, Woody, 2 cleaners. Is Mel and Jean there?
With No, there were no Slaters
Oh,
there.
they weren't there.
They weren't there. They weren't important.
It was just the staff.
It was the main staff because they were being. So we always knew that Billy and Woody were there working, but we've never seen any of the other staff. So we got to see a glimpse into the world of E20. I mean,
Kush wasn't there.
No, Kush was not there. I mean, for a club which what they claimed had the capacity
500.
of 500, 8 members of staff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
all of them, yeah, like 3 of them are useless.
Yeah.
Sharon just drinks the bar dry.
Sharon just sits at the bar. I mean, no wonder there's so much trouble in that club because there's one person to every 80 people in the club. You know what I mean? No wonder there's so much ruckus.
So Sharon's making some changes.
She is.
This money's not back.
Restructure, she calls it.
What's she doing? Who's employed and who's not employed then?
Well, Woody... no, first of all, Billy has Woody's job.
Right, he's being promoted.
Yeah, Woody has Mel's job. I know. So
where does that leave Mel?
Where does it?
Does she now own? Does she take Sharon's job?
Well, as owner of E20, wife of Phil Mitchell. Well, sadly not. She's become a toilet attendant, and she has to bring her own.
They had toilet attendants anymore. It's like really old thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the days when I used
that
to
was
go
the days
clubbing.
when Sharon used to go clubbing.
Yeah,
so that's what she thinks is still hip.
There you go.
Sharon's point of view.
I'm still hoping for a reunion of the band at E20. Fingers crossed. So yeah, and Sharon's advice of Mel's new role is that she needs to bring her own perfume, nothing cheap. As a toilet attendant.
So nothing from Sharon's bedroom.
Well, no, you say that, but Sharon once used as a ploy of getting rid of Louise, using her perfume.
Oh yeah,
you can use the expensive stuff.
Crack it open.
So there's a couple of great insults when they're having a bit of an argument in the office. E20
and stares and looks.
Yeah, and stares and looks. I mean, we tweeted it. It's like Sharon was on form. Yeah, that was great. This is when we love Sharon. I mean, Mel says, "Does Phil's new liver mean you don't get it anymore?" And Sharon returned it with, "A pretty boy like Hunter, he'll be well popular inside." And it's like, yeah.
A lot of people took offence to that comment.
Oh, really?
They said Sharon shouldn't have stooped low like that and said that about a underage boy.
Well, no, true. But then
implying that he would be raped in prison.
If you're going to put it that dark, true. She shouldn't have. But I have to say, it's a Sharon kind of comment. She is her adopted dad's daughter.
Yeah. And she also, when she said, "Oh, do you not get it anymore?" she said, "Me and Phil do just fine, thanks." Which we all know from when he returned from his holiday. They went straight upstairs, didn't they?
Like
for 10 minutes.
Yeah, but that's the last time they've done it. It's been 3-4 weeks since she had her big
For
bar
all
of
you
chocolate.
know.
Well, yes, that's true. We don't know what happens behind doors.
Who knows when they last did it? So that sort of upsets Mel. Mel has now announced that she's leaving the square.
She's now
everyone.
100% leaving. She's not
even
staying.
though she signed a 1-year contract.
Yes, and a lease with Jack, but she's like...
I meant the actress is on a 1-year
Oh, I
contract.
see. Sorry, I think you meant... Sorry.
So we all know Mel ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, Mel ain't going nowhere.
She ain't no Woody. So, yeah, she's told Jack that I've got a mate. She sorted me out a free flat. I don't know why she didn't sort this out in the first place when she had no money originally.
She said that she's basically said the square is just no good for her.
No.
There's no point.
She has been saying that since she first came back. So I don't know why she's still here.
She says ruined Hunter. She's
it.
also done the false threat of saying Hunter's going to go back to boarding school. That's not happening. I mean, Jack's desperately trying to keep her. They sleep together again, which is always fun. Yes. And she says again, it's a mistake. Jack says, "What if I find the money? Would you stay?"
Then it's not a mistake.
No, exactly. It's so desperate, isn't it? So a little bit of a light-hearted moment then the story took, because Jack's kind of mulling around the square.
Detective Jack,
and he notices that Psychic Mo is putting on her act in front of Honey, and Honey says, "Oh, I can't recommend her enough. She knows everything. There's some of the things she said only I've ever told Billy." And Karen kind of goes over to Jack and lifts up her sunglasses and says, "Either she's tapping phones or she's got the gift, and I know what my money's on." And it took Karen to give Jack that hint
with his years of experience.
How is she doing this? We know that Mo's a bit of a con artist. How is she working out that people's information? I just can't work it out. Oh, hello, Karen. Oh, it's this way. There we go. It's like, goodness sake.
So he pops over to Mo's.
He wants a private reading. Private reading. Jean says she doesn't do private readings, but a purple note says otherwise.
So he's in there trying to get a reading from her, and he asks her to get something from the kitchen.
Yes, well, after
a drink.
Yes, a drink, because he's so overwhelmed. He says, like, "Whoa, this is heavy stuff. This is heavy. If you could get me a drink so I can, mull it over.
Look around your lounge.
Yeah. So I can look around your lounge and instantly find something that you've hidden really badly."
Yes, he found it straight away. A box of tapes,
recording
devices.
Yeah, a logbook in color coded with importance.
Very official that was, wasn't it?
I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't want to overemphasize this point, but she must have hours and hours of tapes to listen to. How does she get that categorized in such? Does Mo sleep? Is Mo just up all night?
She's on it.
On it like a sonnet.
When there's money to be involved or gossip to be heard, she's there. So he confronts Mo about this.
Yes, she says, you would if you were going to go to the police, you would have by now. So what is it you want? What information is it you want me to give you? And he's like, right, do you know anyone who's come into a bit of money recently? I mean, again, Mo isn't stupid. She must have known why he was asking that. It had to be related to E20 because she's the cleaner there, so they've already been accused of stealing the money from there. And she drops him a hint that Billy has come into a bit of money.
Apparently.
So Jack, in Jack form, which Jack always does, decides to scream and shout, and storm his way into E20. You can hear him, go, Billy! Billy!
He brings Mel to show off in front of Mel as well.
Well, no, Mel walks in and says, "What's going on here?" And so he's like, "Right, Billy's coming to a bit of money." It's obviously Billy who stole the money. Billy then takes out the slip. His betting slip that he's had in his pocket,
just in case he gets,
just in case Jack accuses him of stealing money. And he's won £200 on the dogs. Although he had told Honey it'd been a little bit more.
Yes, and so obviously Mo had been listening to Honey's conversations. With
yes,
Billy,
so she must have thought there would be maybe 1,000 or something like that. So Jack gets the wrong end of the stick again. So yet again, best of the Met. God knows how they survived when he retired.
Yeah, and Big Mo, I think, got one of her first ever Duff Duffs.
Yes.
I can't recall her ever having a storyline or a Duff Duff.
No. I mean, yes.
Shocking.
So she, at the end, she walks into she gets a drink first, which is great, and then walks up to this mysterious person and says, "You've been very naughty, but I'm willing to look over it for a prize." And then the Duff Duff kicked in.
She got it.
So she knows, with the tape in hand, who exactly has stolen the £15,000. So after all this investigation, 2 weeks of investigation, where Jack came to a blank on at least 5 occasions, Mo did it in one shot.
Yeah, well, that's what you get when you're a psychic.
They say that police officers and criminals are very similar, so maybe Big Mo's lost her occupation in life.
Yeah, maybe that's what she'll do, train to be a policewoman.
That'd be cool. I'd like that storyline, actually. I'd love to see the police train. It'd be like Police Academy.
Yeah. So we found out, finally, who this person was that Mo was getting money from. So she wants half the money. And Jack is obviously still suspicious of Mo, the one intelligent thing he's thought about. So he starts following Mo again because she's looking a bit shifty as she's walking around the square, and follows her to some bins where there's a duffel bag full of what she believes is £7,500 because it's half the money. So Jack's like, "Right, Mo, you sneaky moo. What have you been up to?" And he this time he actually threatens to call the police. The first time, actually, he's now saying, "I will call the police." And so she fesses up. She says, "Oh, sorry, yes, I knew who it was after all. Ha ha ha." And as she opens up the duffel bag, it's just full of paper. It's another that's what happened to Mel, wasn't it? Or not Mel? Ben, yes. Just full of paper. And the occasional £20 note. There was like £80 in there or something. Yeah. That's like a token.
As a token as well done, you, Mel.
Yeah,
you solved
Mo.
the mystery. And so she reveals who it was. And who was it after all this time?
I know.
The one cast member that we know is leaving the soap.
Suddenly. Yeah, so Woody.
It was Woody.
For some unknown reason.
Yeah, Woody stole the money. Yeah, you're quite right by saying unknown reason, because then when he's at the tube station and Jack stops him and just gives the money over to Jack. Here you go, have it.
Yeah, and Jack doesn't even phone the police or anything.
No, he just lets him go.
Bye.
Yeah, he just sneaks off. Woody then says, Wolford's the only place that has felt like home.
I know, it's really weird. It's like you've been here like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but also, why would then you steal £15,000 to run away?
Or he said, "I've got bad people after me." It's like, have you?
Oh, yes.
Since when? Like, what?
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah, he was in debt. He said he was in debt.
So this whole E20 15K storyline was all for Woody's exit, apparently.
I don't think it would have happened if they didn't know that Woody was exiting
It's just
so suddenly. Or I say Woody, the
Lee Ryan.
Lee Ryan was exiting for his tour with
Just weird.
Steps.
Yeah,
They've been
Blue
promoting
Ryan,
that a lot
yeah.
recently on daytime television.
Because he cut his contract short, didn't he?
He
So-
did, but I don't think he'll be coming back to the soap anytime
no.
soon. Well, basically, I don't think they'd have him back.
I don't
now.
think they trust him. They've
No.
messed him over, haven't they?
He's messed them up.
So Jack can now be the hero and tell Mel.
Yeah, he comes in with his chest puffed out like a peacock, and Phil gives Mel her job back, much to the disgrace of Sharon. She goes, Phil, and it's like, nah, she does an all right job.
Yeah.
Let's just keep the status quo.
So we're back to where we started.
Yeah,
2
so
weeks ago,
none
basically.
of this. Yeah, if none of this had happened,
Apart
it
from
wouldn't have mattered.
Jack and Mel are now kind of an item.
Well, over another bottle of wine. Wine has a lot to answer for this week on
Mm.
EastEnders. Yeah, Mel giggle over the whole incident, and Mel turns to Jack and says, "I've been running my entire life," and Jack's like, "You don't need to run anymore." And then they embrace in a kiss.
And she says, Hunter's having a sleepover with some friends.
"Oh yeah," and Jack's like, "What?" and does a little grunt.
And yeah,
It's
so
like a
they are
meals-
now together, I guess.
But they're official until probably Wednesday next week when
Hmm.
Mel decides there's a mistake again.
Yeah,
So
big mistake.
we'll wait for that one, shall we?
People on Twitter,
Yes.
someone said, have I missed something? Where are Jack's children? Who's looking after them while he's getting jiggy with Mel?
There was a moment actually. Oh goodness me! There was a moment when I think Jack says to Mel, "You know, you can't look after Hunter. Hunter's playing you." And Mel's like, "You're not one to talk. Where are your children?" And it's like, yeah, fair point.
Yeah,
Where
Mel.
are his children?
Someone said, I'm so happy Jack and Mel are together.
Yeah.
Wolford's newest power couple.
Right, whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah. I have nothing to say to that.
Mel and Jack, ugh. Hunter's having a sleepover at friends. What? Munter has friends. People who allowed him to sleep with in their children's in their own homes. Quite laughable.
I mean, yes, that's a good point. I don't think Hunter has any friends because
Hmm.
hence why he sat on a wall throwing stones at a
Yeah.
tin can.
Maybe he's lying to Mel again. She's
Mm.
an idiot. isn't she?
Hanging out with a PG.
Woody stealing the money was so dumb. It didn't make any sense. Can someone hire me as a scriptwriter for EastEnders? I can do better.
I mean, it was just a quick exit storyline, so no, of course it didn't make sense.
So why did Woody steal the money again? Why did Woody say he was in trouble? Did we miss something along the way? Anywho, shame Woody didn't get a better exit storyline before he left. So Woody was the thief, but no explanation as to why or how.
No. Well,
No.
apart from that he was being chased for money,
From someone.
which you discovered at the end, before he
Bizarre.
left.
But that was his last episode.
Yes.
That's him officially gone now.
Oh, well. I mean,
Bye,
Woody
Lee.
didn't... Yeah, bye, Lee. Enjoy your tour.
It's been lovely.
Must be getting paid
Started off
pretty
with
well.
such high hopes with Lee Ryan with his first stint when he was
Yeah,
quite
like-
good.
Yeah.
And then he came back and it just all went wrong.
He shot himself in the foot, really, didn't he?
So yeah, that's the big storyline of who stole the money, all done now.
Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar?
So shall we have a little break and go on to some of I'm Doing This Now, It's Back by popular demand.
Yay!
Just do this now.
I mean, hands up who missed this section last week.
I know, it's been so long.
It's been a
I want
whole
to know
week.
what someone's doing now.
Well, then you're about to discover. So it's time again to dive into the afterlife of another favourite from Albert Square and learn what they have been doing after the departure, or what they're doing now. Now, this week, after Sharon had alluded to him last week with sympathy toward Carmel, we will be looking into the character of Dennis Rickman, portrayed by Nigel Harman.
Lovely. I love Dennis Rickman.
Yeah, he was good. Never to return. Introduced into the soap as a young Dirty Den, Dennis first made his debut in April 2003. The product of a fling between Paula Rickman and Den Watts, he was on day release from prison to attend his mother's funeral. In time, we learnt that he was neglected as a child and abused by his mum's conveyor belt of boyfriends. When he arrived to the square, 14 years had passed since Den being shot by the canal, and he was unaware that he had had a son. When Dennis was introduced as a full-time character, he hit the ground running, having a fight with Phil and flooring him with a single punch. I mean, if you're going to introduce yourself, you punch
That's what
Phil
you
in the
wanna do,
face.
yeah.
Before Den's return to the soap, Dennis starts a relationship with Sharon. Den cannot accept their relationship as he sees Sharon as his daughter and manipulates Den into thinking that they only want a relationship because of the abuse he had suffered as a child. This leads to Dennis to break off their relationship with Sharon in favour of a stronger relationship with his father. This was a bit of a weird storyline, wasn't it? Because they weren't blood brother or sister.
No, because Sharon was adopted.
Sharon was adopted.
Yeah.
And also they never grew up together.
Mm.
So it wasn't really creepy, but in Den's eyes...
For him it was, because he raised Sharon.
Well, Sharon was his
Although
daughter.
he hadn't raised Dennis, so...
But that was his blood son. But
Yeah.
Sharon was his number one. He loved Sharon.
Mm.
Like, he would do anything for Sharon.
That's the one thing that the last executive producer, Dominic, ruined, was saying that Sharon's real dad was
Oh,
that guy.
yes,
and
the one with Kathy.
And he told him to say princess.
Mm.
And it was like, that's one thing that was like, no, don't ruin things like that. That's like such a known thing, the Hello Princess bit. And it was Gavin, and Gavin said, oh, I told him to call you princess.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, no, I agree.
That
with
was
you
really,
there.
that's the one thing that he really messed up with.
Well, that and
rewriting history.
That and the brilliant chase around the hotel.
I love that episode. That was so funny. Like, Gavin was chasing Sharon
and Kathy
and his sister around the mansion.
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
they all went into different doors.
It was like a farce, wasn't it? It was like it was like Scooby Doo when you see the long corridor and the one walks in through one
and
door
then the
and comes out
sister
the
fell
other.
off the balcony. And
Yes, and he couldn't forgive himself, and so he handed himself in to the police. That was great. That episode, fantastic.
died. I want to do a Gavin. I'm doing this now.
Oh, okay. I'll write a note to that. You might see that prop up. I won't tell you. I'll just drop it in one day. You can hear a little ee when I say a little ee. Right, so Dennis and Den trick Phil into committing an armed robbery at a factory and lifting the escape ladder with the money, leaving Phil there with a gun to incriminate him. Dennis also gains the betting shop from Andy Hunter after his death at the hands of Johnny Allen. Dennis starts a relationship with Zoe Slater, but falls out of love with her and starts an affair with Sharon and plan to leave to America together on Christmas Day. Desperate to keep Dennis, Zoe lies and says she is pregnant. Dennis doesn't want to leave his child fatherless and stays while Sharon leaves. However, he realises that she lied when he catches Zoe sleeping with his dad, so she can become pregnant for real.
Oh.
So it's a bit of a double up from a storyline.
Zoe. Yeah,
Zoe.
from the murder of Dennis.
Yes.
Den. Dirty Den.
Dennis and Sharon go on to marry and learn that their father had been murdered by Chrissy after Zoe, Sam Mitchell and herself had confronted him in the Vic over their manipulation. After they had both brought Chrissy to justice, they sell the Queen Vic back to the Mitchells, which they believe ends the feud between them. Dennis discovers he will become a father with Sharon on Christmas Day 2005. Everything happens on Christmas Day, doesn't it?
It does.
After Sharon had been admitted to hospital for suspected food poisoning, they decide... Yeah, I know. I did love that. They decide to leave for a fresh start in the United States on New Year's Eve.
Again. Going to America. Come on.
Come on, they got to see Michelle, haven't they?
Yeah.
Michelle's lonely out there.
She's
Teaching.
about to have an affair with a student.
Yeah,
Come
having
on.
affairs with students. Phil tells Dennis that Johnny Allen has been threatening Sharon and that they both had to leave the square before midnight on New Year's Eve. Dennis takes the bait and beats Johnny to the edge of death. Johnny begs him to let him call someone so he doesn't die. Dennis throws him a mobile phone just out of reach, but Johnny is able to grab it and calls someone to murder Dennis. Dennis returns back to the square gardens where fireworks are being set up. After Dennis and Sharon lock eyes with each other, he is stabbed and collapses. Sharon runs to Dennis and he dies into her arms. His final words were, "We did it," referring to their unborn son. That was really sad.
It was a big shame they killed him.
As we know, Phil confessed on the 15th, for stats out there, 15th of January 2014, that he was actually responsible for Dennis's death. And he had hired Danny Moon to stab him.
Mm-hmm.
But Sharon decided after visiting Dennis's grave one last time that Dennis was the past and Phil was the future. And then they later had the marriage where Phil got shot by Shirley. So, what a
Good.
lovely...
Serves him right.
It does.
Good old Shirley.
I know. She never got any comeuppance for that, did she?
I still like Phil and Sharon to break up. I'm kind of like, no.
I mean, I see why they've done it, because they're both kind of like the... Like, she's meant to be the strong alpha square character. He's meant to be the strong alpha male
Wolford, King and Queen of Wolford, as she put it.
That's it. But yeah, I agree. Well, you know, we've got the suspicions that Sharon might have a storyline with Keanu.
Lovely Keanu. Come on.
Watch this space. So, Nigel Harman, what is he doing now? Well, soon after leaving EastEnders, Harman decided to return to his theatre roots, appearing in many stage productions. This included Guys and Dolls, a tour of The Caretaker, 3 Days of Rain at the Apollo Theatre, and playing the role of Lord Farquaad in Shrek the Musical at the Theatre Royal alongside Richard Blackwood, who played Donkey. I'd like to have seen that.
Both been killed by Phil Mitchell's
Wow, yes, in the hands of Phil Mitchell's phone calls.
arrangements.
God, if you were in that production of Shrek the Musical and you end up getting a role on EastEnders,
Watch out.
keep your eyes out for a certain baldy man coming toward you. Most recently, Harman tried his hand at directing and opened the London premiere of the musical Big Fish starring Kelsey Grammer, based on Daniel Wallace's 1998 novel revolving around the relationship between a father and son who looks for details behind the father's tall stories. Now, it gained high praise and was performed till the end of last year. Now, he was still no stranger to television and starred in period costume drama Lark of Candleford on BBC One and had a recurring role on the 4th series of ITV's Downton Abbey, where he played Alex Green, who was the valet of Lord Gillingham.
That's a good gig.
That's a great gig. He was only in one series, though.
Yeah, but still. That's a good gig.
Where he'll be there forever, isn't he? DVD sales.
In history.
DVD sales. Netflix. Harman had just finished his role as Bradley Dawson in the Sky comedy drama series Mount Pleasant, written and created by Sarah Hooper. The show revolves around the day-to-day life of Lisa, her husband, dad, and her neighbours and colleagues who all live in a cul-de-sac. Now, it was announced only yesterday, or this week, that Nigel Harman will star alongside Mark Benton of Waterloo Road fame in a UK tour of David Mamet's Glengarry Glen Ross. The tour, which follows a West End run at the Playhouse Theatre, will open at the new Victoria Theatre in Woking on February 14th next year. It will also visit locations including Birmingham, Manchester, Milton Keynes, Glasgow, Richmond, Brighton and Cardiff, where its run will end on May the 4th, 2019. Now, as always, if you would like any links to any of the information we've discussed or the information of the actor, then you can look on the podcast show notes, or you can look on our Twitter, which is at EastEnders Week, for that stuff. So there we go. That was I'm Doing This Now.
Just do this now.
Right. So.
Okay. Well, next on my agenda for the show, sadly,
yes,
sad news, we've got Masood to talk about.
That's why I'm feeling a bit deflated now, I'll be honest.
Well, we had kind of a new character, well, not a full-time character, but a new character this week. And in one episode, I prefer her to Masood.
Yes, because she was
likeable.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. So let's get to it.
Yeah, back to the start then. So Arshad is encouraging Masood to go to a talk by a big businessman, Habib Hussain, at the community, at the community centre in there.
There's a lot of businessmen doing speeches at the community centre.
It really
recently.
is. It's a very popular spot, the community centre, ever since they put that sofa and the knife bin in there. And Masood suggests to Ian that they go together, but Ian agrees that it's a good idea to go see this talk, but he can do it on his own, and he won't give Masood the night off from working at the Chippy, even though Kathy insists that she can do the evening shift on her own.
I don't know when they're actually opening this business, but it's very slow. How many meetings do they need to go to before they start doing something?
Well, they were talking about fabric samples this week.
Yeah, but they've been talking about fabric samples since they started.
Well, no, it was wallpaper samples the following week. Yeah, there's always samples of something. So Masood is a bit miffed, and Kathy really works hard. I tell you, she's the hardest working person on the square. So she's working in the Chippy. Then Masood has a bit of a rant in front of Kathy at the cath, where she's then working, and then she has to go back and do her shift in the evening down the Chippy again.
Well, she's got like 15 years to make up for it, hasn't she?
Yeah,
15 years of tax avoidance.
I mean, Mel's only got 2 years to pay off the debt. Kathy's got 15 years worth of debt to pay off, and that's working hours, yeah. So Masood makes a anonymous call to the council, and Agnes Novak, the environmental officer, has come in over a report of rats.
Yes, at the Chippy.
So Cindy Lauper can't get her chips.
This is very quick. When I saw this is very quick for the council. He made that call that day, and they're already there.
I mean, health and safety is
yeah, but I don't think they'd be acting that quick, would they?
Well, if Denise was in the department, then they'd get a phone call saying, well, I'm afraid
she's out of office.
Yeah, she's out of the office
for 3 days.
Yeah, She's looking for someone. Do you mind if we look in Friday for you?
And Ian says, "Oh, I'll stay and sort this out."
Yeah. You lock up. And so Masood, underneath his chippy jacket and his hat, he had his own suit.
It must be boiling hot in there with a suit on and that over.
Where you got to dress how you want people to see you, as he and Ian both said. So Masood goes to the talk. This is when the cricket analogies begin with him and Ian. It's like a one-upmanship of who's the better cricketer in business terms, which really wound me up. It's unnecessary. I mean,
didn't pay attention to it.
Well, I did, and it was just annoying.
There's only so much I can handle. Masood and Kathy, or Ian and Kathy, but I can't handle scenes which are Masood and Ian. That's just too much.
Well, buckle in, laddie-o, because you're going to get a lot of them.
I can't.
They're in business together with Masood's money.
Well, no wonder Ian doesn't trust him for business, because Masood's just reported him for having rats.
Well, I mean, they are both as bad as one another. Masood does all this
mysterious business.
Yeah, Masood does all this. I suppose Masood feels like he can't be open with Ian, so he has to feel like he has to do things behind his back now. But it's just ridiculous.
Yes. So we go on to online dating next.
Well, yes. So it's Arshad and Masood's idea that what they would do in order to get Habib Hussein's attention is to find a way of meeting him without Ian knowing, over a meal, or over a coffee or something like that. So they do a bit of research over Habib Hussein, and
Masood finds out that he has a daughter who's not married.
Yes. And so Arshad and Mariam both say, well, you know what you should do? You should catfish her. You should go on a date and, make out that you like her and this, that, and the other. But in actual fact, all you care about is her dad. And Masood's like, yeah, what a great idea. Let's do that.
So he arranges a date. Where does he go? The cafe.
Well, no, they meet at the park.
Oh, yeah, and they go for it's like a 10-minute, he said, there's a 10-minute walk to a cafe.
Yes.
And they go to Cafe's Cafe. Is it a 10-minute walk from the park to the cafe?
Well, I guess so.
Really? Well, it's like round the corner.
Well, in the basis of where it's filmed, it's round the corner because it's all one set. But I think you're meant to get the impression that it's
it is quite
outside.
Okay.
I mean, if they're on the playground and they said it was 10 minutes, the PG, then I would be more inclined to say, no, you're a liar.
Very slow walk.
It was a very slow walk.
So he meets this girl.
Yes, he exclaims, "I've bowled a googly," which was the final cricket reference of the episode, which was nice.
And she's turned up hungover from a night before.
She is.
So you already know that she's not a practicing Muslim.
Exactly.
Not that her mum knows.
Yes, and Arshad and Mariam get him all dressed up, and Arshad suggests that Masood covers his moobs, and Mariam says that that's the cook's curse.
For a good cook, yeah, that's what you get. So they're on their date. Kathy's there listening or watching, probably, like she always does. And he's trying to pretend that he's this good Muslim, that he's fasting, and he doesn't gamble.
Doesn't
drink. She doesn't really care about any of this.
I mean, Emil and Masood do bond a little bit because then they both agree that they've been set up on this date. Although Masood's lying somewhat because he's not really been set up. He's set up himself. But she says that her mother put her on this internet dating site. I mean, this internet dating app, is this one specifically for Muslim people? Is there such an app?
Maybe. I've never looked into
it. Well, no, I've never looked into it either. I don't know.
Could be a market out there.
Yes, quickly to the patent office. And Shirley interrupts their date and reveals that reveals that he's only there for her dad. That he only wants to get like a business venture to him through her. Because all they've talked about the whole date really has been about his business and how he's successful and how he's set up a new business and he wants to push it forward.
But we find out that her dad's dead.
Well, yes, he obviously didn't type the name in properly because her dad isn't Habib Hussein, her dad is Asar Hussein. Common mistake, I presume, that people make.
Possibly. So she gets quite mad and says, you know what, if you were just honest to me, I quite fancied you.
Yeah, she was upset that he lied.
I quite liked her though as a character.
Yeah, she was all right. Good. Well, she was okay until then Friday's episode, where she.
Well, I like this because she's now playing with him.
Yes,
so I approve.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I suppose it's a tit for tat, isn't it?
So she asked him for a second date.
Yeah, she
comes in the cafe again.
Which she comes into the chippy while he's working, and it was after he spilt ketchup or some sauce on himself, and she jokes that is is this your business too, this chip shop? And she says, oh, I kind of been thinking about it, and you're a bit of a bad boy, actually, and I quite like bad boys. And Masood, yet again, kind of likes that idea and kind of takes it upon himself then to dress like a bad boy. So he puts on his leather jacket, his best tight T-shirt, his jeans, and meets, as you say, at the cafe. And Kathy, the whole time, whilst they're sitting there at the cafe, is very suspicious of what's going on between Emil and
knows
Masood.
What's happening.
Well, she knows what's up. She knows what's going on. So Emil's mum, Rana, turns up, and she's like, "Oh, so this is the gentleman you've been talking with for 3 months." And Masood's a bit like, "What? What's this about?" And Emil basically says, "Well, just pretend that we've been dating, because I basically want her off my back." So she's basically using him so that she can then, have a non-conformed life and do what she likes.
Shut her mum up for a few months.
Yeah, shut her mum up for a bit. It's a mutual deal, or so it seems, between them, until Kathy's had enough of this. Kathy said, "I've had enough of this." Well, Kathy's not busy, cleaning up tables or making people's meals. No, she's watching there. She's watching the soap unravel in front of her like we are. And she goes over to Masood and is like, "I've decided. I just can't give you up," and gives him a great big kiss on the lips. So there we go. This is how a lot of relationships start in EastEnders.
A little joke here and there, tension. And that makes the mum say to Amir, "Oh, okay, I see the problem here." And she leaves. And she's quite thankful that Kathy's done this. It buys her a few more months with her mum off her back.
I mean, do you think this is the beginning of a love triangle now between Kathy, Amal, and Masood? I mean, that's the story there.
I assume it's lining up for Kathy and Masood to get together, and then maybe Ian and Carmel, and there's going to be some weird, like...
Well, yeah, we discussed this
Carmel
before,
and Masood were together before. So now Masood is with Ian's mum, and then Ian's with Masood's ex, so maybe there's some weird thing. But it might be one of these things that if she's popular these 2 episodes, they might bring her back and rewrite some things. Maybe. Sometimes they do that, don't they? They bring characters who weren't originally meant to be characters in. So maybe
if she's popular, yeah, because then they give them another chance. That's what happened with Halfway, wasn't it?
And quite a few people.
And quite a few others, yeah.
So that rounds up their week of fun.
Was there nothing said on social media? Did everyone feel exasperated by it?
But it was really difficult to find like anything mentioning it.
Right. Well, no, I'm not surprised. But, I mean, it was always this whole story was kind of just tucked in, wasn't it, amongst the others?
Someone said, "I've seen some bad weeks of EastEnders, but that week takes the biscuit. WTF was that Masood stuff about? Utter beep."
Did you add the beep, or is that...
No, there's a word, but I won't say the word.
Oh, okay, so you've added the beep.
Yeah. Well, they've asterisked a few of the letters, but I can still work out what the word would be. Someone said about the actress, "You didn't half brighten up EastEnders. Amal seems like a bright and interesting character. Please don't tell us that's all. Will we see any more of her?" They actually tweeted that to the actress.
All right.
And someone said, "The fact they have serial degenerative, gambler, divorcee, fat, middle-aged, failing businessman Masood, even remotely close to a young woman as hot as Amal, makes Billy and Honey seem like a regular real-life couple." And then Kathy/Masood is clearly happening, but can Emil move to the square anyway? So all the things that I was trying to find about Masood ended up talking about how much they liked Amal.
Oh, fair enough. Well, good for Amal.
Yeah, good for her. She's better than Masood in 2 episodes, just like I said.
Well, yeah, it took 2 episodes for her to upstage an actor who's been in the soap for 10 years. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a bit unfair to call him fat. He's not fat. No. But he has moobs.
So, yeah. So, shall we move on now to what was beginning to be quite a dark storyline this week with Mick?
I don't think it
Stuart
stopped being dark, did it? It was quite a hard storyline.
Yeah, it's not as dark as we thought originally. We thought he was actually...
Well,
yeah. But anyway, so we'll go on. So they were, Mick and Stuart and Halfway were having like another lads' night out or lads' day out.
Yes, Linda called
them going to different places.
Yeah, Linda called Stuart because Mick's looking a bit down. Every episode this week had started with Mick looking miserable. Every single one. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
A phone or something.
Looking at a phone or holding a mop, looking a bit down. So yeah, they go out for on Linda's proviso. She gets Stuart, Halfway, and Mick to go off for a drink, and they go to the chip shop and get some bag of chips, and they go to the park with a 8-pack of beer. And Stuart sympathises about Mick. Mick's, night of the stabbing. He says that you're not Batman, you can't protect everyone. And Stuart says, you're a hero, you saved a boy who wasn't his own. And so Mick's feeling a bit more happy about what he did on that night and feeling a bit more comfortable about the whole occasion. So they go off to E20, which is when Sharon and Mel's having their little argument.
Yes.
And they're like, is it open? And Mel's like, no. And Sharon's like, yeah. So they sit down, have 3 beers and 3 vodka chasers. And Mick's about to give Stuart a bit of a prank. And then Stuart says, because halfway mentions, it'd be nice if I had a pool table. And Stuart, you never guess what, I filmed some trick shots on a pool table with a mate of mine. Goes to look for his phone and can't find it. So it goes a little bit too...
He goes unhinged, doesn't he? Like
more
manic.
Than you would.
Like, I need my phone.
Yeah, I mean, if you lose your phone, exactly. If you lose your phone, you're a bit like, ugh. But he was like, yeah, he's the same manic, desperate about
What's
it.
he trying to hide?
What is he hiding? So he's shouting at people, having a go.
He always has a go 2 people having a drink that they've never seen him before, and it's like, you have my phone. It's like,
yeah.
What?
He calls
Why would they have his phone? It's really weird.
He calls not halfway. He calls Woody haircut. He's like, don't you haircut?
Oh, it was like gel or something, wasn't it? Or something like
is it hair gel?
Hair gel, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, dear. And so anyway, Mick suggests him to cool down, leave the club, go to the park with halfway, and then Mick produces the phone and says, "Oh, it was meant to be a wind up." And Woody's like, "Oh, haha, great, nice one." And so Mick decides while he's waiting for Stuart and halfway to come back to, like you do, look at your friend's phone.
Maybe he's trying to find the trick shots.
Or maybe
he's going to take a silly photo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
but he comes across some photos of loads of different
lots of little girls and in not provocative poses, but kind of like
school uniform and
school
stuff.
uniform, kind of poses you would take if you were the father of the child, or
And he saw some text saying, "Can't wait to meet you. I'll pick you up after school." Stuff like that.
Yes.
So you automatically assume that Stuart's been sending these texts
to
and
children.
He doesn't want people to know, obviously, why he got so upset about losing his phone.
I mean, then that basically turned Twitter into a barnstorm of anger and hate.
It did.
So Mick then asks Linda, why did you phone Stuart? This is the next day. Why did you phone Stuart? There's something you don't like about him. What is it? And she just says that you're just a bit different around him. But then that's, understandable. Your mates, he's a true mate. He dropped everything for you, Mick. So Mick arranges to meet up with Stuart again at Cafe 2.
Yeah, the secret cafe. So you know that something's happening.
With the creaky floorboards.
Yeah.
And Mick asked Stuart outright about the pictures and the text.
Yeah,
and
because he says he had his phone. It was a joke.
Yeah, it's
by
meant to be a
seeing
joke.
these things, tell me what it was.
I've handed it in back in E20, so if you want it, you have to go back there. He says it's, my daughter Zara's been playing with me. He's like, don't palm me off as a mug.
The way Stuart sort of answered this or dealt with it was really incriminating. The way it made it sound like he was actually dodgy.
Yes, whether he was keeping the
Obviously,
real
that's the
reason
point
a
of
secret.
the script writing, but it was really like,
well, yes, so he can push forward.
Yeah.
But it's kind of understandable because he was keeping what you eventually find out he does is something that you don't really want to carry out in the open too much. Technically, it's illegal, but I think
like
the
entrapment.
police, but the police kind of don't mind as long as you don't use violence. So Stuart basically says to him, we've been friends for 38 years. You might as well just go to the police. Go to the police.
That's
and
what you think of me.
if that's what you think of me, just go ahead and do it. If you're going to ruin our friendship over miscommunication, then fair enough, just do it. So Mick does. Mick goes off to
another Duff Duff.
Another Duff
Mick.
Duff. I'd like to report a
He has
paedophile. So he goes to the pub. And again, another episode, another stewing Mick at the beginning, looking a bit like, oh, what have I done? My whole world's crumbling around me. He doesn't have a minute of peace, does he, old Mick? I feel a bit sorry for him.
No, very tired.
He must be a very tired man.
Very emotional. So Stuart's in his living room with his son on his lap.
No, Ollie is on Shirley's lap.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
she hands him to Stuart.
No. Shirley looks a bit like, this seems a bit weird though.
Why is he here?
Why is he here? Yeah. And Stuart kind of cracks a joke at Mick's expense, saying that I bet the presenters on CBeebies have to be CRB checked. And Mick doesn't really like that. Tells him he's taking liberties.
Brooding looks from Danny Dyer this week.
Lots of broodiness.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time also where Mick calls him a nonce, which is always a lovely term to use. And Stuart says, how do you sleep at night, knowing, that there's people out there who could, be with your son and something the other, which is again really nasty and dark, and making him out to be really nasty.
Because I think he said one of his mates on the force has told him that someone reported him or something, didn't he? Stuart said.
Yeah, well, he wants to have.
Everyone has a mate on the force.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Exactly. The whole police force knows one of 6 degrees of separation.
Mm.
Yeah, he basically starts telling tall stories about him and Mick and the old days again at the bar, and he's kind of doing it to wind Mick up, and so Mick grabs his pint and he's just like, just drink that up and go. And Stuart's like, no, I'm going to sit over there, and in 5 minutes you're going to come and join me, and we're going to talk about this. And
he should have said that yesterday before he went to the police.
Well, I think he's realised that
he's a bit of a player, isn't he?
Yeah, he likes. This is it.
Wind up.
They like playing wind up, but Mick's not very good at it, while Stuart is excellent at it. And so Mick does eventually come over, and Mick said, Stuart says, you've taken your time. And so, Stuart then tells Mick that I love this term, he's a nonce hunter. And it's a bit like, I don't know if anyone's ever watched the show To Catch a Predator. So
paedophile. They do it on Facebook and stuff, don't they? They record themselves.
Yeah, so they pretend they're children, and they have these conversations with paedophiles, and they send photos to these, not sexual photos, but they send
headshots.
Yeah, and then they basically set them up to meet in a common area, and then they film them basically saying, you're blah blah blah. You've been sending messages to me, and
then they send those videos and things to
the police, and then the police have evidence that they can incriminate the person. Mick doesn't believe him at first, but Stuart insists that he needs to speak to Halfway about it, and after quite violently confronting Halfway,
I know he's about to eat a bag of crisps.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I'll pay for them, I promise. He basically confirms it and says, yes, Stuart. He told me not to tell anyone, but that's his job. That's what he does. So Mick, the following day, invites Stuart to the cafe for breakfast.
Yeah, try to apologise.
Buys him a breakfast, a fry-up, a good English fry-up, sausage, bacon, tomato, no beans. No. I was a bit upset to see that. Not a full fry-up without beans.
So Stuart eats it, but he says it's going to be a bit more than a breakfast and a sorry to make up for what you've done.
We're going to have fisticuffs in the square. But then he's like, nah, only joking, mate. No. So you think, but you know that Stuart's not joking. There's going to be something that he wants to get as a sorry. And so they're at the bar, they're having a few drinks, they're doing a few bets on the World Cup, watching the World Cup.
Yeah, on the radio.
No, it was on their iPhone.
Oh, was it?
They're watching the football on the iPhone.
Right.
Anyone enjoying the World Cup at the moment? Just out of interest? No? Okay. And Stuart asks if, Mick fancies doing what he does. He says, as a team, we could be pretty decent. We could get more people arrested. You must agree that this isn't, these people shouldn't be out in the common market, as it were.
No.
And Stuart also shows that he's a very good judge of character, because they play a game called Guess Who, and a bit like Big Mo, just without the tape recordings.
Yeah.
Stuart's quite quick to
work out
what people are. So he does it with Phil, saying that he's an ex-alcoholic. He's obviously testing himself. He likes to be in an environment where he's testing himself with his orange juice. I don't know who Phil was on the phone with, but he was having a great chat, wasn't he? Do you reckon it was Sharon telling him about her maybe she was in town having a bit of a shop?
Maybe it was Vincent. Asking him how he is.
Oh, right, Phil, how are you? Yeah, not too bad. What are you up to? Oh, yeah, I'm in a log cabin in the middle of Scotland. No one knows I'm here. Don't tell Kim.
He did a little he saw Ted and said what Ted was.
Yes. Again, I was a bit worried, actually.
I thought they were going to say Ted was a paedophile.
Same.
With Bernadette or something.
Yes,
I was like,
I know.
What?
Well, I mean,
but no.
Yeah, I was a bit worried when he was like going, right, you'll start with him. I thought, are we going to, is this going to be Ted's
Ted
out of the soap? No. So Stuart treats Mick to a kebab.
Yeah.
Lucky lad.
Proper good food.
Yeah. Mick wants a curry or a Ruby Murray or a Chinese. But nope, Stuart's insistent they must stay at the kebab shop. And then a guy walks into the kebab shop, goes to the counter, and Stuart's like, hey, Mick, let's play Guess Who. Tell me about that guy who's just come up to the counter. So Mick comes up with these, silly ideas. He works in IT. He likes to have this fast food without his wife knowing, so he kind of sneaked in, had this before he goes back home. And Stuart's like, no, he's here to meet a 14-year-old girl. And Mick's face drops.
And he tells him all about the arrangements and stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, Mick's very angry that he's basically been made to be involved in this kind of heist or this ruse that Stuart had set up over 3 months. But Stuart's basically saying, you owe me, so you will sit down. I will explain to you. I will talk to you everything about this lad, this guy, and you then tell me whether you don't think it's fair what we do, or you don't think what we should do is worthwhile.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he starts recording and starts yelling at him.
Well, no, he starts revealing the information. Stuart starts revealing the information. So then Stuart starts saying about the his text messages, his quite revealing pictures to this fictitious little girl who's actually Stuart, and this is what I mean. It didn't stop getting dark. Really, he started giving quite not graphic information, but quite deep information of what's happening the whole time. Danny Dyer, the whole time Mick is you can just see he's bubbling inside, and Mick's getting more and more wound up, and Stuart's saying to him, how could you let this happen if this was for real to a little girl? You couldn't save the child outside your pub, but think of all the other kids you could be saving if you and I work together. And then Mick's about to walk out the shop, he stands at the door, and then you just hear in the background him going and Stuart doing basically what he said he would do, and so filming him, and the episode or the week ends with Mick basically just stood there with his head down, looking a bit embarrassed, looking a bit angry, a bit ashamed, but also a mixture of emotions. So really interesting, and it'd be interesting to see what happens between.
It is interesting. I don't think this has really been done on soap before.
No, it's a new story, and I would like it. But this is the thing, Mick's so easily led as well, the whole Aiden thing. So it's the right character to do it to as well. They're using the right characters. So I'm hoping this is going to be a really good little burner for the soap.
Yeah, it will be good. But we had a few people on Twitter saying, can they give Mick a break, that poor man?
No, we just said that, didn't we?
Yeah. I'm so glad Ricky Champ has joined the cast of EastEnders. Stuart Highway is fantastic.
Again, we've praised him on numerous occasions prior to now, but great actor.
And Ricky Champ put on Twitter, he said, thank you for all the love for tonight's episode. It's a very difficult story subject, matter to navigate. Everyone should stay tuned. And quite a few people replied to him saying, it is a difficult subject, but worth highlighting. I've enjoyed your work so far and how you play Stuart. A little crazy mixed with humour and insight. Can't wait to see more of you. Someone said, he's certainly different. It's good that the show is exploring a topic that doesn't come up very often in drama. From the little knowledge I have of it, the scenes are ringing very true.
I mean, I'm sure it will go down the path in media that it's a controversial storyline. Is it something they should be exploiting in soap and so on and so forth?
Sometimes they're the storylines which are the best ones.
I mean, they're not over dramatizing it. This is the point. They're not making it almost over trivial. The top or trivial. That's right. They're doing it right at the moment, and good for them. It's a good story, and it couldn't be played out by a better actor. Fantastic.
So lots to look forward to next week.
Just quickly relating to that, you did a mini poll, didn't you, relating to this storyline?
I haven't got it at hand, so.
And it was during the week we asked, do you think Stuart was guilty of what Mick originally thought he had done? And at the beginning of the week, everyone thought 62%. Yes, he was guilty of being a nonce.
Well, I thought he was, because I thought from what you saw on his phone, there's no way to really explain it. But I didn't think of
No, it was it was a right curveball, and it was really well done.
Yeah, very good. Cool. So before we go on to the sort of everything else for the rest of the week, shall we play a quick game?
Oh, yes, please.
So are you ready for some Slater Family Values?
Oh, I love this game. Yes, please.
Yeah, so 6 degrees of separation. So you have to get from one character to another within 6 steps. So they could be related by jobs or who they've had relationships with, things like that. And you have 1 minute to do it. So this week, get ready.
Right.
Because the past ones we've done, I've done mainly females, and I didn't realise that. So I'm equaling it up. So if you would like to link Masood to Woody Woodward.
Right. Woody Woodward.
Woody Woodward. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Masood is currently an employee, soon to be partner with Ian Beale. Ian Beale is the Ian Beale is Ian Beale is good friends with Sharon. They've been friends since school.
Yep, 20 seconds.
Sharon is married to Phil Mitchell
Mm-hmm.
after getting shot. Phil Mitchell had a naughty kiss in the E20 club with Mel.
Right.
And Mel employs, or used to employ, Woody at E20.
Yes.
Yay!
40 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
That was. Although technically Sharon employed Woody because Mel doesn't own the. But that's fine. They are linked. It's quite similar to mine. Mine was Masood works at the chip shop with Kathy, so not Ian. Kathy is Ian's mum. Ian's arch nemesis is Phil.
Yeah.
Phil sold the Vic to Mick. Mick had an affair with Whitney. Whitney was engaged to Woody.
Obviously, I was going to take the Whitney route, but I thought that kind of narrows it down to. I had Whitney
Too quick.
earlier on. I was
See.
going to put like Lee or something, but yeah, okay. Oh well, wicked. Well,
There you go.
yet another.
And that game was dedicated to Lee Ryan for his last episode of
yes.
EastEnders.
All rise, all rise. Excellent. Right. Well, now I guess we're coming to the end of the show now.
We are. The end of the show.
Yeah. All right, Anne. Okay. So, as always, at the end of the show, we discuss the poll of the week that's been running on Twitter all week. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter at EastEnders Week, where you can see us live tweeting on every episode of EastEnders throughout the week. Also, there's the poll of the week, and also we put a few kind of funny memes and all kinds of bits. And
Sharon
basically Sharon. We might as well rename the Twitter Sharon. So the poll of the week this week was, with no sign of Jane returning to the square, who should Ian start pursuing the affections of? And the options were Mel, Carmel. I just noticed there's Mel and Carmel. Shirley and Masood.
Ooh.
Now, so you haven't seen the results. Do you want to punt who you think might be quick?
From the viewers, I would imagine not Mel, Carmel or Masood.
There you go. You're spot on. Carmel and Masood drew.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. So Ian might be waving that rainbow flag in no time.
Well, they need to work on their business plan together, don't they?
They do. Maybe
So-
they'll get close over a bottle of wine. Wine has some intoxicating ways of getting people on EastEnders this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, Carmel and Masood both got 41%, way in above everyone else. Shirley, 18%. I'd love to see Ian and Shirley. Oh, I really would. I think
It
amazing.
would be like a domestic abuse story with Shirley like hitting you.
But a light-hearted one, like a 1970s sitcom, British sitcom. And Mel got no one. No one gives a damn about Mel.
Well, everyone's team Mel and Jack, aren't they? So...
Well, not everyone.
Well, no, but voting-wise.
Yes. So, look out for the poll of the week this week. Normally it's on there. If you're listening to this right now, if you went on our Twitter, as I said, EastEnders Week, you'd probably find it somewhere on the timeline. You can also follow us on Instagram, which is at EastEnders Weekly. Or on Facebook, you can find us just by doing a search for EastEnders Weekly. And you can email us, which is eastendersweekly@gmail.com. We've been getting, as I said last week, we have been getting emails, and we keep, every time we record this, we have emails ready to discuss. And then we look at the time and we're like, oh, hang on, we've run out of time.
We might do like a bonus content or something to answer some
we might do
things.
like a midweek episode or something, just where we'd be answering emails and questions that people sent to us on social
also
media.
thank you to everyone. We've had a few messages just saying they're enjoying the podcast this week as well on Facebook and Twitter, so
yes, we
that's
have.
nice to hear.
It's lovely to hear. Thank you so
We've
much.
had some new reviews on iTunes and stuff, so yeah, it's nice. It's nice to know that everyone's enjoying our roundup.
I mean, we have fun doing this, and so if it's kind of reflecting onto you guys listening, then we're really pleased that you guys are enjoying it too. So thank you so much. So there we go.
And I just wanted to let everyone know that I've set you up with an online profile.
Oh, okay. But what's the purpose?
Well, basically, the person's dad owns iTunes, and if you go on a date, we might be able to get to number 1 on iTunes again. The theme to EastEnders Weekly was written and composed by Klaxon. He can be found on SoundCloud under KLAXUN. Thank you all for listening, and if you'd like to subscribe and leave a review, it would mean so much to us, as it really helps the word get out that we're around. If you have any topics or discussion you want us to talk about, You can email us at eastendersweekly@gmail.com or send us a tweet at EastEndersWeek. We do live tweeting to every episode of EastEnders, so make sure you follow. See you soon.